Okay, my video for this morning is here. This is part 6. I'm already on part 6 on this series of mathematical theology. And I'm always adding and changing things. I either think of new things or look at things and think, no, that didn't quite seem right. Maybe this is better. Like I said before, it's not so much a question of right or wrong as better or worse. It's a better fit or worse fit. And there may be a right or wrong, but that may not be, that might be on the purview of mortal man to rule on some of those. Only God could tell us if it's right or wrong. We could only say yeah, it seems better or worse. So in that, this is kind of, it's speculative, but it's not free-for-all speculative, because I have certain rules that I apply to limit, bound my speculation. One is not to add or subtract, and to look for symmetry. And if you don't find symmetry, see if that tells a story of why it's not symmetrical. And one-to-one mapping, or either one-to-n mapping, where you find a set and its members, is one-to-n mapping, and one-to-one is when you find analogies between things. It's not a good analogy if you have 5 apples and 4 oranges, but if you have 5 apples and 5 oranges, you could say they're analogous. Now from the set, you have a set of 5 apples and a set of 4 oranges. The sets can be analogous. They're both fruit. But if you look at the members, member to member, it doesn't match. 5 doesn't match the 4. So along those lines, and that's a little review. Along those lines, I added this chart here. It looks at the rainbow. I call it the rainbow connection. That's what I'm going to name this video. Well, I was going to name it that, but I'm going to go on. And once again, this is extemporaneous. Who knows how I might do better. Just zoom in here. Let's see here. Yeah, actually, it's better if I just zoom in. You could read it better. So here we read about the rainbow. And he who was sitting was like a jasper stone and a sardis in appearance, and there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald appearance. And for those that think the rainbow looks like this, the only reason it looks like this is because the earth blocks it. If you were just, if there was no earth, you'd see these are concentric circles. You just see half the semicircles because the earth's in the way. So, and the basic colors, Roy G. Biv, red, Roy, red, orange, yellow, G, green. Biv is blue, indigo, violet. So I kind of color coded these. And there seems to be 7 primary colors. I mean, there's ones in between, but so I've looked at here and I thought, these are pairs. The rainbow, if you divide it into a semicircle, you have kind of a start and an end. So you could use those to define an interval, like the start of something like a year. Here's the start of 2025, and here's the end of 25. And the end is the start of the next one. So that's kind of what I was looking at here, seeing if there's some sort of symmetry here. And there does seem to be one. And let me go through that. Here's the start. And then I've mapped these. Once again, don't add, subtract. So I need something to attach these two. So we have the 7 lamps. We have 3, 3, and 1 in the middle. And then we have the 2 olive trees. And then we have the 24 elders, presumably 12 on one side and 12 on the other side. So I haven't added anything. I've just picked pieces that are already on the table. I haven't put any new pieces on the table. Now this one I split to 2 halves. And that seems, in the justification for that, we have the 12 disciples and we have the 12 tribes of Israel. So maybe so I don't know, maybe this side's 12 tribes of Israel and this is side the 12 disciples. Or something like that. So I haven't added anything. I've just put pieces haven't added things like dump trucks or cruise missiles or, and this is going to be important on another issue I might get to here. And so then I'm thinking, what if these are periods of time? What does and here's another one. I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and earth. So rainbow is not just there in the heaven, but it's also a sign on earth, God's covenant with earth. How he's going to deal with earth. And it has to, and one of it is not, he's not going to destroy the earth with a flood again, but it seems to have more than that. And then we have here in Ezekiel, as the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the surrounding radiance, such the appearance of the likeness of the glory of God, the Lord. So that's tied to the temple. There's the cloud that descended the Holy Spirit into the temple. So we kind of get a connection with the temple, cloud, the pillar of fire, and the cloud by day, pillar of fire by night that led Israel. So I've tried to look at events that might define this here. So, and it has to do the temple. So I'm not looking at events prior to that. I mean, we have Genesis and the fall of man and all this, and we have the tabernacle, but that's not the tabernacle. It's not the temple. So I'm starting here, building the temple. Then there's the destruction of the temple, and then there's an exile. Then there's the decree of Cyrus that allowed them to return to the land. Then there's the decree to restore Jerusalem. Then there's the walls are completed. And then here we get to Daniel's 70 weeks. We have the 7 weeks. So then we have the 62 weeks. Then we have the 70th week that seems to have something happens in the middle of the week. And it has a first half and a second half. Let me go to here. So we have this middle of the week, which might be a day, or it might be 1,000 years, because 1,000 years is like a day. And then we have the second half of the week. And so I've kind of laid all these out, once again, just to see how it fits topologically speaking, not logically, but topologically. Logically is like you make an assertion, is this true or not true? Topological, it's not true or false, it just is, 3 plus 4 equals 7. You have a 3 and a 4. You can split 7 into 1 and 6 using natural numbers, 1 and 6, 6 and 1, 3 and 4, 4 and 3, and 5 and 2, and 2 and 5. So at any rate, doing that, I laid out all these events here, and just to see if you have symmetry, and it turns out, there seems to be one. In the center is the crucifixion of Jesus, which is kind of the center point of the whole gospel. That's what the gospel is centered in. And it looks like the first half of the 70th week is the baptism of Jesus. And look here at the end of the 7th week, that seems to be the end of the Old Testament. We had this period after, is it Haggai, the last one? I don't know if it's the last book in the Bible. I don't know if it's the last one chronologically. But there's no word from God other than, at least not canonical word. There's the, what do you call it, Apocrypha? But that's not canonical. And then we have the birth of Jesus, and about 30 years later, we have his baptism. And so, and the Holy Spirit comes down, where the Holy Spirit somewhere left, the Holy Spirit, the cloud left, apparently here, destruction of the first temple, and came back. We don't know if he came back or not when they decreed to restore Jerusalem and resume the temple sacrifice. It's not clear whether the cloud came back or not. It doesn't say, to my knowledge, but it came back here in the form of a dove on Jesus. So then we have the crucifixion, the resurrection of Jesus, and the ascension. And all these times are not uniform. The time he was between crucified and resurrection is just three days and 3 nights, where some of these here is like 1,000 years. So this is topological, not geometric. Once again, I've talked about the difference between topology and geometry before. So it's a topological. It's by topic, not by geometric, where you have the shape things, and this proportionality, and it's like in length, whatever. So things of equal length may not be of equal length. Topologically can be equal length, but geometrically they don't have to be. So then we have what I argue, and I've done several videos on this, so I don't want to go into much detail, of the 1,000 years, or we call it the church age. We reach in Revelation 20, and the reason, there's all these reasons, like Satan is bound for 1,000 years, and then he's released for a little while. Well, that little while seems to be the second half. Now, some people try to put it out here, but that's problematic, and I covered that in my other videos, so I don't want to cover all that. So you could read this, and here's Daniel's 70th week, kind of laid out. There's the whole 70 weeks. And then there's this first period, the first 69 weeks, 7 and 62 is covered here. Then it says, then after the 62 weeks, so after the 62 weeks is all of this. It's not just, a lot of people read it just like immediately after. This is after the 62 weeks. Yes, that's after the 69 weeks. But so is this, so is that, so is this, so is this, so is this. All of this is after. After is not a point. It's a region, a whole region of time. There's after, you could say before the birth of Christ and after the birth of Christ. That's not just a second before and a second after. It's the whole period. And then this confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. A lot of people could, the word is translated make, but if you go look it up in concordance, it actually means confirm, strength or strengthen. And so some people think, well, that covenant can't be the New Testament covenant because it's only for 1 week. But that's the confirmation of it. It's an internal covenant, but it's confirmed. When you confirm something, is you provide evidence that you ratify it, or prove that it's true. You confirm, like prove in a theorem. You prove it, or you've demonstrated it to be true, or you've completed all the process required to certify it. And that's the 1 week. And it starts with the baptism of Jesus as part of the confirmation. Then his death, his resurrection is part of the confirmation. His ascension is part of the confirmation. The church age is part of the confirmation. And finally, his return in the second half, where Satan is released for a little while. All these confirm an eternal covenant. So at any rate, let me move on down to what I was going to, part 2 of this. So I covered part 1. So part 2, we talked about the red dragon a little bit. Talked a little bit about the beast from the sea and the lamb with 2 horns. And I don't know if I've covered the 3 angels. The 3, to me, it's like the 3 holies. The 3 holies are the fruit of light, is goodness, righteousness, and truth. And it's kind of like the 3 on the, we have the seraph, the menorah, the center is righteousness, and like the 2 witnesses, truth and goodness. So you kind of see that there. And so there's a little reminder there, the fruit of light, plus the 9 fruits of the Spirit, and the 3 holies. And I've kind of linked all those here. So now we get to here. And this beast from the abyss, and we read that Satan was bound in the abyss. So a lot of people relate this beast with this beast. But if you look at them, they don't look anything alike. it looks a lot more like this beast. So this is sort of like Satan. It comes in two parts. There's Satan up in heaven accusing the brethren, and there's Satan, part B of his kingdom, like his minions, his demons, or some of the worst ones are in the abyss. So when it talks about the beast, is it talking about this beast, and this beast, we have the head that was healed. So it talks about that. Here we have not a head that was healed, but we have a kingdom that was, is, and will be. So it's different. It's just, and was is their let's see, let me find that. Here is the beast you saw was, is not, and is about to come out of the abyss. So it was, before it went in the abyss, is not, because it's in the abyss, and is about to come out of the abyss to go to destruction. So it's pretty clear it's talking about something different. It's not talking about a head that was healed. Now, it's that the head being healed might be related to this because there's a connection between these, because they all have 7 heads, they all have 10 horns. These have, also they have 10 diadems or crowns, where this one only has 7 diadems and crowns, and these have, there's no mention of crowns. So that means kind of these are under the authority of the one, either the authority of this beast or that beast, but it's kind of clear it's probably this beast, because that's so. And this one is more of human nature, people, humans, and worship, because he gave his authority to the beast. So it's not an original authority; it's a delegated authority. So this beast has delegated its authority to this beast, while these demons are always subject to the devil. It's not delegated; they're all in the same peas in a pod, it seems like. So what I'm going to go to is here, and then about the harlot. And we read here that, let me go over here. Wisdom has built her house. She has carved out her 7 pillars. Okay, 7 pillars. And here we read, see if I can find all this. Here is the mind which is wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains of which the woman sits. Now, some people think that 7 mountains refers to the 7 hills of Rome. And that could be the case. I don't know. But I can't say that here without breaking one of my rules of adding something, because nowhere does it say anything mentioned about the 7 hills of Rome in the Bible. And it may have been common knowledge at the time, but it's still not. We're adding something. We're saying the 7 mountains refer to the 7 hills of Rome. Could be true, but it might not be true. So it's not going to pass one of my smell tests. It just smells like, sounds like we're adding something. But we can say mountains are like pillars. And and God makes the high places low, and somewhere, I'm not going to show that. He's going to make the high places low and straighten the crooked. So a high mountain that's going to be made low into a hill by, so it seems like the woman, you could think it's sitting on these 7 heads, and these are its 7 pillars, and where the wisdom of God is 7 pillars. It's the woman, lady wisdom. If you're not wise, you're foolish or simple. There's kind of like 3 states. You could be wise, simple, or foolish. Simple just don't know. Foolish believe things that are foolish. Simple just don't know. So this kind of establishes the woman is like folly. And her 7 pillars seems to be, if these 7 pillars are like the fruits, the 7 spirits of God, knowledge, counsel, wisdom, understanding, strength or power, and fear of the Lord, this foolish woman has none of those. In fact, the opposite. She's kind of ignorant. Thinks she's smarter than she is. Listen, count. Each one of these has a failing. Knowledge can puff up. So this woman's puffed up with her knowledge. You can have the counsel of the righteous, the counsel of the wicked. So she listens to the counsel of the wicked, the beast. This is wisdom. You could trust in your own wisdom. So she trusts her own wisdom, not look to God. Understanding, you could trust in your own understanding. So she does that. This is power. She trusts in her own strength. I could look out for myself, my riches, because it talks about the riches, trust in their own riches. And fear. Fear of the Lord is, there's 2 kinds of fear. Servile fear, fear of punishment, and filial fear of just letting the home team down. It's like, a great example of that is the movie, the novel Emma, or you see the movie Emma, where Emma snubs, what's her name? I forget her name. And Mr. Knightley says, "Not well done, Emma, not well done." And that devastates her because she looks up to Mr. Knightley and values his opinion. So she wasn't afraid that Mr. Knightley was going to hit her over the head with a ruler. It was worse than that. That's the reverential fear. It's like we don't want to when we stand before Jesus, we don't want to say, "Not well done, not well done." We want him to say, "Well done." So that's that fear. But that's not the fear that drives this woman. It's the fear of the Lord. And if even she doesn't believe in God, it's the fear of nature, like lightning's going to strike her, or fear of the world. Somebody's going to rob her or steal her money or whatever. So, and see, but it says the beast hates the woman that's going to throw her. And so there's 2 kinds of way you influence people, 3 ways. One is you could use reason to show that it's a win-win situation. It's in there that, yeah, you want to buy this car because you need a car and this is a really good car. It's going to meet all your needs. That's persuasion, but it's persuasion by it's not persuasion. It's what's the word? I can't think of the word. I used it before. Understanding. You help them understand why this is their best car. Wisdom and understanding. But if you can't do that, if you're trying to sell them a car that's not best for them, you could try to persuade them by deception. And the deception is you get them to string along with it, but sooner or later the truth will come out, and then deception no longer works. You have to use force. Now that I've got you to sign the contract, you're legally bound to keep paying the payments. Use force. And so it seems like the woman comes, when she's thrown off the beast's back, then the beast can apply force, like the mark of the beast and all this stuff. It's like, you took the mark of the beast. Or maybe she didn't. So we don't know. We just know that she's thrown off. We don't know. And so maybe we don't know what her fate is. I don't think we know. other than she's thrown off the back of the beast. So anyway, there's a lot I could cover here, but let me just end the video here because I think it's a good place to stop. And and there's the eighth beast. The beast which was and is not is himself also an eighth beast, is one of the seven, goes out. So one of the seven, I think that's connecting one of the seven and goes out to destruction. That's kind of like the little horn, or it's like the head. That's the connection. The eighth beast here, the beast which is, so one of the seven here seems to connect up with one of the head that was healed up here. So one of these heads is healed, and down here the seventh becomes an eighth, and that is called the beast. So the beast. So when you talk about the beast, it is kind of this beast and the other beast, but it's the eighth beast that I think when it talks about the beast is thrown into the abyss, not the abyss, the lake of fire. The beast is thrown in the lake of fire along with the false prophet. This seems to be the false prophet, which seems to have two horns. So once again, what all this means, I don't know. I don't even pretend to know. What I can say is these topologies seem to hold at least my three rules: symmetry, one-to-one mappings, or one-to-n mappings, here 1 to 7 mapping. I haven't added anything. I'm not relying on things like, well, 7 hills is Rome. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I'm not using that in my argument here. I'm just using that a hill seems to be also a pillar, if you think of it as a pillar. And I could probably spend more time searching that out and seeing if that holds true or not. But it seems to hold true. And that's what I'm dealing with, what seems to be true, not what my opinion of what is true. See, opinion is not just it seems, but it's more opinion. It takes on a little more gravitas, that you believe it might be true, where it seems you think it probably could very well be true, where it seems like it might be true. Where a belief is where it takes even more certainty, like I know it's true. Or at least I'm going to act on it as if it's true, with the conviction that it's true, where I'm going to put more at risk. Like you put your life at risk for beliefs, where most people don't put their life at risk on mere opinions. So let me in here, I'll zoom on out here. And and all this, I'll end up here, go back up to here. And this kind of tells it, the rainbow connection kind of connects the dots, and where you can do here. Here is where, see, it seems like all through this period there's the mark of the beast. What's different here is that the beast has the power. The beast has to use when the third beast, that third beast, or fourth, however you count, third beast with 7 heads and 10 horns is in the abyss. It doesn't have the power to force you to take the mark, but it has to trick you into taking the mark. Where once it's out of the abyss, it now can force you to take the mark, or because it says here that the beast was able to force those to take the marks, where you can't use it, just use deception here. Like I say, once deception doesn't work, okay, I can't fool you into buying a crummy car. I could at least force you to make the payments now that I tricked you into buying it. So at any rate, let me end the video here.